But Kevin gets in and says, "Are we missing Venables?" Of course we are.
Yes.
You can't lose a coordinator like Venables for as long as Clemson had a coordinator like Venables and not miss him. Look what he's done to Oklahoma's defense this season. They don't have nearly the talent on defense that Clemson has. Look what he's done to their defense this season.
Yep.
That is all Coach Venables. That is all his scheme. That is all his doing. So look at that and then recognize that is what we lost. So absolutely, any team in the country, I don't care if it was a Nick Saban, Alabama, if they lost a coach, a defensive coordinator like Brent Venables, they would be suffering much like we are. We're doing the best we can, and maybe Wes Goodwin is the guy to replace Brent Venables, but it's hard to replace the guy. Imagine the dude when Nick Saban finally retires, right? When he finally calls it curtains for his career. What do you think the guy like Nick Saban, following Nick Saban, is going to look like, right?
Yeah, no. And
I wouldn't want to be that guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
So I respect anybody willing to take on that challenge.
Yeah.
And Wes Goodwin is the guy that was willing to take on that challenge, and he's done okay so far. Is he doing great? No, I don't think so. But at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. You're following probably the greatest defensive coordinator to ever be at Clemson.
Yep.
So it is what it is.
And so, I think we all knew we were going, we all knew that there was going, we were going to miss Venables. I think the only thing is how much we missed him, especially in the short term. When I had conversations with people about this in the offseason, I said, well, I don't expect too much of a drop off this year defensively, just because of the talent up front and just what Goodwin has to work with. I still think it's going to be a very a top flight defense.
And
that was kind of the conversation I had, and I said my biggest concern was in the long term when Venables recruits start to cycle out, and how does Goodwin recruit, and how does he mold the defense into his how he wants it, and how does it look when it's actually put into practice. And so that was kind of my concerns long term. But I did not expect the holes to show up this early. So
I didn't expect the holes to show up this early, and I think that's what a lot of Clemson fans did early on, especially in the offseason when we were talking to other fans. We were like, well, we're so talented. I think we thought that the talent would kind of mask the holes that would come when you lose a coordinator like Venables, when you lose a defensive mind like Brent Venables, right? So I think we thought that, and clearly that's not the case. Now, I'm not saying Wes Goodwin's not the guy.
Yeah, right.
I think he was a good hire. I think he was, Brent Venables' right-hand man for a couple years. So we'll see. It's yet to be seen. It's too early to say whether Wes Goodwin can really be the guy and really replace Brent Venables. Right. I think he could be, but again, that's yet to be seen. Again, that's what we have for this season. So we're ride or die, right? Let's go. All in. Wes Goodwin is the guy. Brandon Streeter is the guy. Let's roll with it. Yeah. DJ is the guy at quarterback, and let's roll. Let's see how deep we can go with this Clemson team, and that's all we can do as Clemson fans. Okay, yeah. So yes, were we maybe too optimistic in the offseason? Maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Philip says, "Wouldn't anybody miss him? Of course they would." Yeah. We just said that.
Yeah,
we desperately need Andrew Makuba back. Yes, absolutely. Everybody would miss Brent Venables. I don't care who your team is. I don't care who your defensive coordinator is. If you lose Brent Venables, you're going to miss him. I think that safety should help more from the beginning.
Yeah, plenty of safety, missed assignments. Yeah, when there was safety help, there's supposed to be safety help. It didn't come. Yeah. There was a lot of missed assignments. And that's kind of been the trend for Clemson's defense so far this season. There's been a lot of missed assignments, a lot of miscommunication.
especially on the back end. We'll see if that gets cleaned up. I would think with the Clemson coaching staff that would get cleaned up. But again, we'll see. The difference between Venables and Wes is that the knowledge of the plays is probably the use of the plays.
Yeah, isn't the knowledge of the plays. It's probably
It's the use of the plays. Okay,
that-
yeah. Sorry, I read that completely
yeah.
wrong. I'm illiterate. Sorry, guys.
No, it's good. And I think that's certainly possible.
Yeah.
I think Wes Goodwin, he knows defense, and he can draw it up on the chalkboard and do all that stuff and tell you what talk to you about the scheme and how everything is supposed to go. Where is everybody supposed to be? What everybody's responsibility is. But how he puts those plays into practice, is it up to the level that Venables was, where it seemed like sometimes Venables just had the perfect call for whatever situation it was. And
sometimes it's almost like Venables was, and I know Venables was always accused of stealing signs, right? But sometimes it felt like Venables was truly in the backfield of the offensive play caller, right? Like,
yeah,
sometimes he just drew up the perfect play. We haven't seen so much of that this season. But again, Wes is the guy, so we're rolling, like ride or die, or die. That's what we're doing. Couple more comments here before we get out of here. The best thing is that we had the heart to finish, even how bad it was. I agree with all things said, but the heart of the Paul came out for the win.
yes,
Absolutely, 1000%. The Paul prevailed. Clemson came out. We got the win. The W is the most important thing that we did today, and we will talk from now until the next matchup, the next Clemson matchup, about all the things that we can do better and all the ways the coaching staff can get better, all the ways the secondary can get better, all the ways the OL can get better, all the ways DJ can get better. Hopefully, we can get all of our players healthy. We'll talk all about that. But at the end of the day, I absolutely agree. We got the dub, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. That when Wake went up, what was it, 28-20, when they had that 8-point lead?
I wasn't sure that we were going to win the game at that
Either.
point. I'm going to be completely honest, and full disclosure, I honestly thought we were going to lose the game at that point.
I did too. I even
I'm not even joking.
I even said in my group chat, I was like, "Oh, that's it. That's it. We don't play well from behind." And so you saw the heart of this team, especially the offense. And they.
Did you see the drive that the offense?
Right,
so let's go back for everybody in the chat. I don't know if everybody in the chat watched the game, but if you go back and if you guys haven't watched the game, go back to the point where Wake Forest scored and went up 28-20 on Clemson. Go back to the following or the next Clemson drive when they absolutely put a complete methodical drive down the field against Wake Forest, not only scored, but DJ scored a 2-point conversion when a defensive lineman was holding on to his left leg. He was balancing on his right leg and threw this sidearm throw to who did he throw it to?
Bo Collins.
Bo Collins. He threw it to Bo Collins, a sidearm throw, a baseball throw, and tied the ball game up. I want you guys to go back to that, because if you're not a believer in DJ's improvement, go back to that drive.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
If you're not a believer in Clemson's offense, go back to that drive, because the defense was on its heels. The defense was absolutely gassed. They were not stopping anything. The only thing they could do was hold receivers and commit pass interference penalties. And the offense saved them in that moment. Yeah. So go back to that drive, watch that drive, and I promise you will have a greater respect for DJ as a quarterback.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the difference in the game. I mean, I'm gonna go play by play. DJ hits that. He hit that 6-yard out route to Brenningstool.
Yep.
And then Shipley, got 2 yards, and then it was 3rd and 2. So even before we scored, Clemson scored that touchdown. it was that 3rd and 2, and they ran that little option play, and that little speed option, and DJ kept it and ran for 23 yards.
Right.
And that, that was the play call. That, first of all, that was a phenomenal play call by Streeter, gutsy in that moment.
Amazing.
And DJ did a great job of reading it and keeping it himself and getting a huge gain and just putting getting the crowd back in it, because at that point it just felt like there wasn't any juice left. You're down by 8 points, and it's like, man, it just doesn't feel like this offense is going to be able to put together a drive here. And that huge play was big. And then he does it again on the next set of downs. On that third down, he throws it up. I think it was to Bo Collins for 28 yards to get into the red zone. Just those plays, that was you saw the heart of this team come out, and that really rejuvenated kind of the life in the. You saw it on the sideline, and just everything about that drive was so important to how this game ended up playing out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Clemson wanted this game. Yeah. You could tell they wanted this game, and they wanted it more than Wake Forest, and they went out and got the W.